Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League Show. My name's Emmett. I'm here with my co-host, Brendyn Ford.
Yo, what up, guys?
Thank you for joining us again in another week. We're on episode 28 now. If you guys haven't seen us before, you can find all our stuff on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Come talk to us on any of those. We love responding. We love engaging with you guys and hear what you got to say. Well, with that be, let's get right into it. We got some cool topics to talk about today. We're going to discuss a little bit about is Sean McDermott's time up in Buffalo, as well as, I don't know why I'm blanking on this, what our main story is for the night. Jeez. Sorry, guys. It's a long day. Yes, we're going to discuss, is the Broncos turnaround legit? Are they for real? Are they not? What's going to happen with them? But before we get to that, let's start off with the news of the week. We have our Thursday night football game. The Cincinnati Bengals took on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens won 34-20. Lamar Jackson ended up going 16 of 26 with 264 yards and 2 tutties. Joe Burrow went 11 of 17 with 101 yards and 1 touchdown. He did injure his wrist, and news today is he's going to be out for the rest of the season. OBJ had 4 catches for 116 yards, his first 100-yard game since the 2021 season. And Jamar Chase only had 2 catches for 12 yards. Some major stories coming out of that game. Mark Andrews, tight end for the Ravens, is going to be out for season. Joe Burrow is going to be out for season, and both Lamar and OBJ both suffered injuries at different points in the game, but did return. B, give me your take from the game. Give me your thoughts.
First of all, I mean, I know you just kind of said like everything that was going on with like the players. This game felt drunk, dude. Everyone was getting hurt. I don't know what the hell was going on. Now, from a betting standpoint, I had a good ass night. Okay, I had the Odell Beckham prop. He killed that. His line was like 27 yards receiving. I'm like, easy, right?
Yeah.
I had Lamar Jackson over 225 passing yards. He cleared that with like a few minutes left. Like the game actually was like sweating. That's when he hit, Beckham Jr. on that big ass play. Can we also talk about, this is kind of like a random topic, bro, but can we also talk about the I don't know, the narrative around Logan Wilson and his like tackles? Dude, he can't prevent a what are they calling it? A hip drop tackle or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they're calling it. Dude, it's just a normal football play in my own mind. They're like, oh, we have to ban that. I'm like, you might as well put on flags. Just put on flags then, because that's like a normal football play. It's not like a horse collar or anything like that. It's not a face mask. It's just a tackle. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, E?
So going back, I mean, that's kind of been my stance on it too, is it's just normal football play. The only thing I will say about it from a football standpoint is it looks like there's been a switch, and probably because of the rules, between defenders and how they make that kind of attack. Like you're coming up from behind a guy or you get them at the side. You used to see them like dive through, wrap, and then like twist and break down, right? And now it seems more like they kind of like once they grab, they just kind of drop their weight and try to like pull it back. Seems to be that That's adjustment fair. Or the hip drop. Because I noticed it on the Mark Andrews tackles. Like usually you see the guy just kind of like drive through their hip, spin them around, take them down. Does it need to be out, taken out of the game? I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, especially with how much you're taking out already and how subjective that kind of a thing could be. I wouldn't take it out, but I kind of see what the technique is that they're talking about. Guys aren't driving through the tackle. They're like diving, grabbing, and then just dropping backwards, if that makes sense.
Just falling down. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that makes sense. I've seen like the gator roll tackling. I guess kind of used less. I also feel like Logan Wilson was coming from like behind kind of, so it was kind of weird
a little bit
angle for him, I think. But yeah, man. I mean, all in all, the game just felt drunk. Everyone was getting hurt. I thought Lamar Jackson got hurt too at one point. He got up limping, but they kept playing him for like the whole game. It's kind of weird. Like at some point to sit him after you're up by 2 touchdowns, like 2 minutes left or something. But whatever. And I was also a victim with Andrews getting hurt. I had a nice parlay, and then it didn't hit.
I'm sure of all the people affected by that.
Let me just
you're suffering the worst.
I had a parlay. Let me just like vent, okay?
Okay.
I had Lamar Chase anytime touchdown, Mark Andrews anytime touchdown, and Tyler Boyd over like 4 catches or something like that. And it was towards the end of like the game. Chase didn't score yet. I'm like, all right, cool. I guess it doesn't really matter because Chase didn't score. This effort scores with like a minute left. I'm like, dog. So really, the only leg that did not hit was the Mark Andrews touchdown. I'm like, come on, dog.
Well, to be fair, his legs did hit,
But hey,
and
it
then
happens,
his
man.
correct. As I say, to be fair, his legs did hit.
That's fair. It did, and now he might be out for the rest of the season. So obviously, his injury means a lot more than our stupid bets. But
I know. I gotta give you shit.
That's
for
just
it,
the one thing I was like, damn it.
I get you. I think this. I agree. I almost typed into the notes that this was like a body bag game, but I was like, well, we really only had 2 major injuries from it. There's a couple guys that got dinged up, but I think OBJ returned and Lamar Jackson definitely returned. So I didn't want to go that far and call it a body bag game, but it definitely was one of those odd games with just a lot of injuries. And then some of the comments that came out after weren't great about the narrative, like you said about Wilson, as well as Roquan Smith's comment, where I don't know if you saw that, but he mentioned in the interview.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, when you play the Ravens defense, that's the kind of stuff that happens. And it's like, I don't know if you want to go that far there.
Say?
I don't think it's what you want to be.
That real quick. Come on.
It doesn't look good. Yeah, like if the Bengals came out to that after, like, oh, you play the Bengals defense. That's what I don't think anyone on the Ravens sideline would be thrilled with that kind of a comment. So it's just wildly out of pocket. I mean, I guess you can try and say, hey, well, we play physical, we play tough, but when guys get injured and they're out for the season, it just makes you look. It doesn't make you look good. I'll leave it at that. Some other kind of key things about there that came out of the game. OBJ and Lamar connection, is it finally clicking? I know he's been like ramping up each week with more catches. I think last week he had like a vintage 40-yard slant return slant for a touchdown. He's now gone over 100 yards. Is it safe to say that the OBJ Lamar connection's finally clicking?
Hell yeah, it is. I mean, my bankroll says, dude, that made me like $80 yesterday.
My bank account says yes, so that's what I trust.
And hey, I knew that he was gonna go off. I can't believe his line was 27 yards, dude. That's like a gimme for him right now. It was super low, and I don't know what the sports book was like trying to think was gonna happen, but his line will definitely be higher now. I thought I could probably sneak a few more weeks in there, get some more easy props. But I mean, if he plays, do you know anything about his shoulder? It's a shoulder, right? Or his collarbone?
Yeah, well, I think it's a shoulder. I think it's kind of been irritating, but he played through it in the game, so I assume he's going to keep playing through it. Do you know that's
serious or no?
I don't think it's. I couldn't find anything that said it was serious, so I'm going to assume no.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because if he played through it, he was kind of bothering going into the game.
We're going to keep on making money then.
Exactly. I honestly, I just picked him up on my fantasy team as well because with the loss of Mark Andrews.
Oh, smart.
It could be, he could be, what they call a fantasy winner, with that connection building with Lamar. Now there's the main target eater is now out for season. There's a chance.
You know what? I'll pick him up right now too. You know what? I'm picking him up right now.
So
we're about to get him right now, man.
We are working. What are we doing here? It's cool to see that connection finally go.
There we go.
It's good to see OBJ starting to feel like his old self again. And on the flip side, I'm up here in NorCal, so we got to talk about it. Jake Browning could be the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals the rest of the year. To anyone else in the rest of the country, you're like, who gives a fuck? Who is that? For those that don't know or those that do know, he is from Folsom High School in California, where he set the state record with. He set, I think it was 91 touchdowns, passing touchdowns in his high school career. He set the most touchdowns in a game in a single game his sophomore year here. He holds the record for most passing yards in a high school career in California. And you got to think of all the great quarterbacks that came out of California. You're talking about the Bryce Youngs, the C.J. Strouds, guys like that, and he still holds these records. He's a local guy for me. Fun little story for me. I did sack him his sophomore year when he was setting a lot of those records. I was playing defensive end and got a sack. It's my claim to fame here, and nothing else.
You're
no,
just a dog. You're just a dog.
No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be pulling for him the rest of the way. Hopefully, I know he went to Washington and killed it up there. He looked fantastic at his time in Washington. So I'm hoping he figures it out, at the NFL level now. And who knows, maybe he could be someone that carries the load the rest of the way. I don't want to linger on this too much longer. Again, it was a good game. Pretty much, I think, knocked the Bengals out of division contention. But for the Ravens, it's another good win. It keeps them, I believe, in first
place
in the AFC North. It makes it a little bit better. The Browns just lost Deshaun Watson. The Bengals have now lost Joe Burrow for the year. It makes their path to winning the North a little bit easier. You still got Pittsburgh, but you should theoretically have two other teams that aren't going to be too much of a threat at this point. I do want to bring up this one last topic and get your opinion on it. In terms of quarterback injuries, this is the most quarterback injured season I think we've seen in a while, where starters are just down for feels like at least a third of the teams. What would your solution be to this problem? I hate to put you on the spot here.
I don't. It's tough because I can't say. Sorry. Yeah, you can go. I don't have my thoughts yet.
You're good. That's why I figured. And this is, for me, this is kind of where I'm at with it. You can't make the game any safer. You can't land on the quarterback with your full weight. You can't hit him late. You can't hit him low. You can't hit him too high. You can't hit him at certain times. There's no other rules you can implement to make this game safer. I feel like at a certain point, you need to start diverting those resources to finding ways to improving quarterback play. And I know, hey, it's an idiot. That sounds stupid. No shit. But I feel like there's still more things that can be done to maybe loosen up the rules around practices, but strictly for quarterbacks. Maybe, hey, veterans get 5 OTA days, but if you're a quarterback, you're allowed to practice 2 weeks. Anything that can get that quarterback more time in with coaches, with whatever, more, visual training, more like, oh my God, what's it? Not AI. What's holographic?
Like virtual, you're not thinking of like virtual reality.
Yeah, more virtual training. Somewhere where they can get the mental reps, where they don't need to be on a field or throwing the ball. They can just get the mental reps of it. Just anything to try to find a way to improve quarterback play, because it sucks that that's the only position where you suffer an injury and your season's lost. I mean, you pretty much just kind of have to phone it in, unless you're the 49ers and somehow your third string quarterback is your new franchise guy. But that's, one in a million.
Yeah. No, I like your thoughts there. And I was going to say, too, it's tough for me to answer completely because I don't know. I didn't see the play where Daniel Jones got hurt. So I can't really speak to that. But Deshaun Watson, I remember watching the game, and I remember the hit he took. Like, he was scrambling up the middle, and that's how he got popped in his right shoulder. And then on what I believe last Sunday against the Ravens, I saw the play where I think he got hurt on, and he took a hit going out of bounds, and he kind of fell and had a weird spill, and he kind of got up slow. You can tell something was wrong with him, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that's a scenario where he just didn't protect himself right. The first time he got hurt in week, 2 or 3, he went head on with 2 linebackers. Of course, you didn't slide or anything. You didn't get down or anything like that. And it's tough for me to speak on Joe Burrow because his injury and how it happened is still, in my opinion, kind of up in the air. There is that leaked, image of him coming out of the plane, having that brace on his wrist. So was his wrist hurt before this game? He came out and said today that, it wasn't a brace, it was a sleeve, and he was wearing it because of the change in altitude, or could create swelling in his wrist, so he wore a sleeve. I'm like, okay, bro, whatever. Like
So
that
translation,
doesn't
there was
really.
some kind of
I don't know
injury.
how factual that is, but exactly, like, what if he's kind of just lying just to save face because they didn't report him on the
Mm-hmm.
injury report throughout the week, right? And he's just trying to cover that up, whatever. And that's still a rumor. I don't know if that's true or not. But let's say his wrist actually was injured going into this game. Well, then when did he hurt it? You know what I mean? Was it in one of those cases like Watson where he was scrambling, fell down weird, and just sprained it, right?
Yeah,
Or
but
was it like some just weird accident? I don't know.
again, at that
You know
point,
what I mean?
what rule? You can't really put in a rule to sit here and protect them from that. Like you can't
Exactly.
mandate
It's
quarterback
just
slide.
it's just like
It's,
happenstance. He's just yeah.
it's playing football. I mean, again, at a certain point,
Yeah.
you just need to address the quarterback play needs to improve. Again, whatever that is. And these kids are getting a lot more reps now, but maybe it's identifying better which quarterbacks can actually play, whether it's, again, using AI, using the virtual training, using reactionary, whatever it is to be able to try to improve identifying talent. But it just, we need to do something to improve this. We can't have whole seasons lost because one player got hurt. That's just, it's not sustainable. There's no way you're going to keep 32 dudes healthy. And even at that, there's not 32 great quarterbacks in the NFL. There's like 5 great quarterbacks, and then you got 7 or 8 more that are good. And then you got like 10 that are like, okay. And then you got like 5 that are like, Jesus Christ, dude. So, I mean, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
No.
overall play of quarterbacks needs to be improved. But if we can find some way to obviously new techniques instead of wasting funds and time and energy on what new rules can we enact, finding new resources to train quarterbacks, maybe loosening rules on quarterbacks, like, hey, they can meet with their coaches year round, whatever it is. Maybe that helps improve quarterback play.
And you summed up my point completely. It's just football. Like, there's no rule you can put in place. Like, if you're a quarterback and you're out there running, get down. Don't take hits because those hits just add up. Like, it's just football.
Exactly. All right, we are going to move on to the rest of the news of the week. We've kind of covered the Thursday night football game, I think, pretty in depth. Like you alluded to, Deshaun Watson is out for season. I think it's a bone fracture in his right throwing shoulder, so he will be gone the rest of the year. Justin Fields is making his return this week, coming off of IR. I know you're excited about that as a Bears fan. Hopefully, I know they're kind of giving him this last 7 weeks as an evaluation to see if he's the guy going forward. Based on what you've seen so far, what are your expectations for the rest of the season for him?
I don't know. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I don't expect anything to be different than what he was showing before. He's playing tougher teams down the stretch, or tougher, I guess, like defenses. They played the Lions twice. They played the Browns in a couple weeks. They play the Vikings defense. So it's not going to be like a cakewalk, like you're not going to have the commies and the Broncos defenses the right rest is this way, which I say that because he played well against those two teams. Now if he comes out and throws like 300 yards, all right, cool. That I'll tip my hat and be like, damn, I did not see that happening, but I don't know, man. Like I don't think it's gonna be anything too different, right? But at the same time, he could use these 7 games and change just the image of himself that's around the league. Whereas that maybe that will influence Ryan Poles, or will also influence other GMs, right? Because there is still a high chance that he gets traded after this season. So I'm sure that he just wants to play well, right? Just to leave a good taste in everyone's mouth once the season ends, regardless of where he kind of lands, I guess.
Yeah, but you don't have any expectations for his play. You think it's just going to be as it was before, good against the bad teams, bad against the good teams.
Like I can't tell you like numbers wise what I expect out of him. I personally just expect wins. Like I want him to come in. I want this team to win. I know a lot of Bears fans are saying, no, tank. No, dog. I'm tired of tanking. I'm tired of like the losing. They won 6 games the past 2 seasons. I'm tired of seeing that product. Nah, dude. I want to see him come in, win games, and then I guess the finer details is, hey, how does he look in a close game when it's the fourth quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been his thing. He's been looking great for 3 quarters, and a fourth quarter rolls around and he gives up the ball twice. Like, dude, come on. How is he looking on third down, right? When there's pressure in his face. How is he reacting to that? Is he able to win those like money downs? So that's really what I'm just looking for. But in terms of like his level play and like the numbers, I don't have any expectation. I think it'd be around the same what he's been doing for the past two years. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it'd be anything crazy. I hope so, but I don't know, man.
Well, hopes and expectations are definitely two different things there, but I agree.
Yeah.
I see your point. I think that's a valid expectation. He's just coming off an injury, and get LASIK eye surgery or something. Matthew Stafford is also set to return this week. I didn't even, to be fair, I don't think I realized he was gone. I feel like this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
I did.
Was he on IR? Or
he was on my fantasy team. No, I don't think he was on IR. He only missed like 2 games, and I had a long story about that. My starting quarterback was Fields. He got hurt. I picked up Purdy. He got hurt. So I picked up Stafford. He got hurt. I picked up Watson. He got hurt. So I can go on a whole like rant here about my fantasy
quarterbacks. Team. You're fucking killing the league, dude.
Hey! I just picked up Kyler. Hopefully he stays healthy. He's like my last hope here. But to answer your question, yes, I did know Stafford was out. I think he's only out for like a game or 2. He missed the Packers game, which was 2 weeks ago or last week. I don't remember now. And then he got hurt. Was it during the Steelers game? I think he finished that game out. So maybe one or 2 games.
I think this is still a big problem for me. This is an LA team. Like, this is a team that got ripped out of St. Louis and moved to LA to make a big spectacle. And here we are, and we can't even tell if the fucking starting quarterback's hurt or what the record is, because it's like they're just so irrelevant. They won the Super Bowl. I'm not taking it away from them. They won the Super Bowl. They did do that. That's a fact. As much as I dislike LA, they did do that. But at this point, you're like, oh, their quarterback was hurt? Shit, I didn't even realize that. I don't know what the record is. I think they're like 2 games behind the 49ers. I honestly don't fucking know. Go on.
I have the answer. He got hurt than the Dallas ass kicking that they got a few weeks back. And then he was out against Green Bay. Then they had a bye week last week. And now he's playing against Seahawks.
I still stick to my same point. It's sad to have. Well, I mean,
I think that you just hate the Rams.
I don't hate the Rams. I don't care about the Rams, and that's kind of the problem. They're in our division.
That's worse. I was kidding. I'm kidding.
It's. I mean, seriously, like,
you have no emotions.
Well, think about it. We get New York shoved down our throats, no matter how bad the Giants, the Jets, or the Bills have been, are, or were, whatever. They always get the primetime games. You always know how the Giants are. You always know how the Jets are. I have no clue how the Rams are. I know the Chargers are, but I mean, why have the Rams fallen off as a media darling they were for a couple of years? They were like traded for Stafford, and Sean McVay was the boy genius. And all of a sudden, you don't hear shit about the Rams. Again, and I don't mean that. Again, I don't mean that in an insulting way. It's weird how like they no longer are getting the attention they were a season or 2 ago. I mean, they still have Cooper Kupp. They still have Aaron Donald. It's just weird.
You do have, I don't hear anything about them.
No.
Yeah, like I don't hear anything about them, and like on Twitter, nothing.
No, I'll give you $20 if you can name their starting running back right now.
Is it that Henderson guy?
Don't look it up. Don't look it up. You're just like
it is right now. Henderson, right? No, I didn't. I already knew that because I picked him up last week because my running backs were on bye, or 2 weeks ago against the Packers. All right, because their actual starter is on IR.
I was gonna give it to our viewers, be like, hey guys, if you can go down to the comment section and tell us, we'll give you $20. Well, that's not gonna work. You have Google. There's no way we can verify you didn't cheat on that one. But for funsies, tell us who you think is the starting running back for the Rams in the comment section. But moving on, a couple of last little bits here. This made news. It made waves on Twitter. We can discuss the importance of it briefly, but Clarissa Thompson, who's the former, I think she worked for Fox for a sideline reporter, admitted on the Pardon My Take podcast from Barstool that she sometimes would fabricate sideline reports, apparently early in her career, when she couldn't get a coach, she couldn't grab a coach, or whatever, the coaches didn't come out to talk to her at halftime or out at halftime. She would just, I'm so sorry. She would use the typical coach jargon of, we need to get more pressure, or we need to be better on third down, whatever it was. I'll let you go first with it. Big deal, not big deal.
I think it's more of a big deal than not a big deal, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it, if that makes sense. Like it's a big deal in the fact that like damn, like you can't be making up stories, right? Because then you kind of question everything that she's saying now. I know she's not really on like the sideline. She's at more of like the podium or the desk now and doing. Yeah, she's hosting, right? So it's kind of different, but kind of not, right? We are relying on her for stories. I mean, not me. Like I don't watch the pre and post show for games, so like I don't really give a f really about that stuff. But it's just I would say it's a weird thing to like admit though during a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, why would you even say that, right? Because now you put a lot of your stuff in your career in like question. Like, why would you even bring that upon yourself?
Yeah, and I'll put it a little bit further than that even, because you're right. At first, my thought was, this kind of pulls into question everything she's about. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, it kind of, unfortunately, pulls into doubt about all the sideline reporting. So I know a lot of people were like, well, who cares about the sideline reporting and stuff like that. You kind of don't maybe rely on it for like the coaches' points per se. But you're definitely interested, like Joe Burrow's hurt. Where's Joe Burrow at? You definitely want that. What's going on with that? You want that sideline reporter chasing down the athletic trainers and the coaches to figure out that kind of shit. Where, hey, this is what our plan of attack is. You're going to get a lot of coaching jargon, that kind of shit. But you kind of now have to go, well, is she the only one that does that? Because then all the other sideline reporters on Twitter came out like, we would never do this. This is unethical. We shouldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. But now it makes you wonder every time you hear one of those generic comments of, we got to get more pressure on third down. It's like, well, did he really say that? Or are you just kind of making that up? Or, is he really questionable to return? Or are you just saying that because questionable can go either way and it's safe?
I think that like it's a bigger deal for the umbrella of reporters and like, like you would hope that the reporter feeding you news is truthful, right? That they're not making stuff up. Like there should be some sort of like ethic code to that. Like that's how us and like the podcast, like people who watch the podcast would hope that we're not giving them this fake news. Like, you know what I mean? Like you would just kind of hope that the stuff that they're saying is, this is not lies. I guess the stuff she was saying weren't actual lies per se, but they were just made up stories. They weren't really true. I mean, she kind of cover it up and say, if a team was 1 for 8 on third down, I would say that team needed, do better on third down. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but you didn't get that quote. So why are you saying that to us?
Yeah, you may feel that, but the coach maybe doesn't. Maybe the coach feels, hey, we're doing fine on third down. We just need to be completing, or we need to be blocking our assignments, but whatever it might be. But I think it's just one of those things. It kind of opens Pandora's box, right? Because before you never even thought about it. You're just like, what they're telling me must be true. This guy's questionable. The coach said they need to get more pressure on third downs. They need to convert fourths, whatever it needs to be. You never thought about it. Now that Pandora's box has been opened and this former trusted sideline reporter was sometimes just making this shit up, and now makes you have to think and question, well, is everyone else making shit up? And there was another person that came out and said the same thing. I was like, early in my career I did the same thing. So again, that's kind of my problem with it. It just opens Pandora's box on it. And once that's open, once that trust has now been broken or called into question, it's really hard or impossible to close it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And they can kind of backtrack and say whatever they want about it. I mean, what's done is done. Again, like my final stance is, it was a weird thing to say,
mhm,
but again, I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it. It's just you just kind of hope that the person giving you news is being truthful about it and it's valid. And that
exactly.
part sucks. That it's not sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, moving on to our final point, and it's a minor one here again. The Saints have signed Jason Pierre-Paul to their practice squad. To be fair, I didn't realize he was still playing, but apparently he is, and he is joining the Super Bowl contending Saints. Yeah,
I
that's
bet
just my.
he didn't know that he was still playing. He just got that phone call. He's like, "What? All right, shit."
Well, apparently he did try sending his tape out to teams and was letting people know, like, hey, I'm still available, like I'm in shape, I'm training, I'm busting my butt. I think last year was a great example. So there was a report that came out, like I think it was like last week, that he was waiting to sign with a contender, and then I guess he signed it with the Saints, which is super funny to me because damn well it's not a contender. So why would you sit here? Yeah, it's always funny. This guy says,
I mean,
I'm looking for a contender. Signs with a middle-aged team. Yeah, you were looking for a job. Got it. Yeah.
maybe he meant like like a divisional contender and like not even.
We hang
I
divisional
mean,
banners
I don't,
around here. Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know what
Uh,
angle he was going for, but hey,
it,
kudos,
it
hey,
just
props.
it kind of reminds me. It reminds me of DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason. Yeah, I'm looking for a Super Bowl contender. Signs with the Titans.
It's like,
I don't think those two things add up. That's not the same thing. I don't think that makes sense.
he just had faith and hope. That's what
And
that
he
is.
was not rewarded
Yeah.
for it. So Uh, all right, guys, that does wrap up the news of the week. Again, a little bit, not too many major headlines, but some big news about some injuries there. We are going to turn over to our games of the week. I know you guys are still waiting, like, hey, when are these guys going to talk about the Broncos? When are these guys going to talk about, Sean McDermott? Don't worry, they're coming. We're coming. We're getting to there. We just got to get through our games of the week. Then it's on to our segments.
Yeah, we gotta like warm up here.
Let's relax.
Come on.
We'll give you a little taste of it. The Broncos turnaround is anyway. So the games of the week. The NFL games of the week. Starting off, we usually do this. We do this every week. We're usually pretty successful about this. B makes a lot of money off of it. Last week, I think you said we went 3-1 each.
3-1.
Yep. We try to pick competitive games, so we're not picking any landslides here. So it's usually before going into the game. We have, it's a 50-50 split most times. This week on the docket, we have Eagles-Chiefs, the Super Bowl rematch. We have Steelers-Browns, the AFC North divisional game, and the Vikings-Broncos, the battle of the hot streaks. So starting off here, we are going to go with Eagles-Chiefs. The game is going to be in Kansas City. Taylor Swift is for sure going to be in attendance. Chiefs, Travis Kelce's going off this week. And she's meeting the parents. Travis Kelce's going to go for 200 this week. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5. Should be more with the T-Swizzle effect. ESPN is giving the Chiefs a 60% chance of winning. Should be 85 with the T-Swizzle effect. And it's going to be a 40. It's going to be 48 and cloudy at game time. B, who are you taking and why?
You know what? I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going Eagles. Only because of Taylor Swift being there. No, I'm kidding. I know the Chiefs Chiefs defense is rolling right now. I don't trust the offense that much. I think the Eagles defense will get after them. I know this didn't really matter that much last year in the good old Super Bowl, but I do feel like the Eagles have better weapons on offense than the Chiefs do. I know they have Kelsey, and that didn't stop them when they played last year. And they have like no one else right now that's kind of performing well for them. At least I don't think so. Yeah, give me the Eagles in an upset win.
I'm gonna stick with the Chiefs. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. T-Swizzle is gonna be there, and for some reason, statistically speaking, Travis Kelce seems to really just go off when she's there. They are the home team. They have what has to be one of the most fundamentally sound defenses in the league right now, and they are balling. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. Their receiving core is starting to figure out a little bit. I think Rashee Rice has kind of slowly emerged from the pack. And it's one of those games. It's going to be a tough game because the Eagles have been doing well lately as well. They've kind of slowly been gelling, finding their momentum. But I'm gonna stick it with the Chiefs. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Even when it comes to Jalen Hurts, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. So give me the Chiefs. You're taking the Eagles. Moving on to our next game, we got the Steelers versus the Browns. The game is going to be in Cleveland. Cleveland is favored by 1.5, which is kind of wild to me considering Deshaun Watson's out. What does that say about the Steelers that the Browns are still favored?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it's a home game, and usually the home team gets -3 or is favored by 3. But still, to be favored by 1.5 with your starting quarterback out must speak volumes about Kenny Pickett. But ESPN is giving the Browns a 53% chance of winning. The weather will be 57 and partly cloudy. We mentioned that because we got fucked when I think it was the Ravens played the Lions, and it was like a rainy game, and we didn't realize that.
It was rainy, yeah.
And like I said, Watson's going to be out for the season, so will be the backup. Dorian Robinson, I believe his name is, DTR, will be starting for the Browns. B, who are you taking and why?
This game's will be classic AFC North, just mudfest. Not because it's supposed to rain, or is it? Did you say it's going to rain?
No, it looks from what I saw, partly cloudy is what's recorded.
Okay, that's what I thought. When I say mudfest, it's gonna be just like a low scoring, just slow game. FanDuel has the over under set at 32 points. Like that's low scoring as hell.
Jeez.
Lots of running, lots of punting. I guess they think this is gonna happen. I think the Browns are favored only because they're 1 at home and 2 that defense is stellar. But dude, give me the Steelers and another upset. I don't know. I think I trust Pickett more than PJ Walker. I guess even though Walker's 2-0 this season as a Brown starter, but I'm feeling Steelers.
Well, they're not starting Walker. They're starting DTR.
Oh, are they? Okay, I thought you said he was going to be the backup.
No, he's starting.
What's wrong with? Wait, what happened to Walker?
I don't know. They're just starting DTR over him.
He just fled the country, or
apparently they feel more confident with rolling out DTR. Again, we can.
I'm sorry, man. I missed over that.
I will verify that again, real quick, just to be safe. But yeah, the last I heard it was going to be DTR.
No, you're probably right. I was looking up the over under while you're saying who was starting, so. I thought for some reason why would they move on from PJ Walker?
Yeah, rookie Dorian Robinson will start for Cleveland in its rivalry game against the Steelers on Sunday. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski announced Wednesday afternoon. Yeah,
here's the
DTR
journalism that we needed. I found a perfect tweet for this. Big Cat Barstool Big Cat tweeted, "Why is DTR starting over PJ Walker? Can someone explain this to me?" And no one has an answer in the comments. So, this is not the tweet that we needed.
I think it's a matter they feel more confident in DTR this week for whatever reason.
I don't know how I feel about that. A rookie. I mean, yeah, he was talented in the preseason, but Walker was getting wins.
He looked bad against the Ravens. Yeah, remember we did that game too.
What rationale was that? I don't get it.
I don't get it. But you took the Steelers, so I don't think it's.
Yeah, now I'm just doubling down on the Steelers. So
yeah, and
all right,
I'm gonna.
That's weird. Okay,
I'm gonna have to rate the Steelers too. It's the same reason. I like DTR in the preseason, but in his matchup against the top defense in the Ravens, he didn't look good. The Steelers are very close to being on par with the Ravens in terms of defense. Again, to me, it's so you can almost make a whole segment out of this one game. Like, why are the Browns rolling with DTR over Walker? What is the over under say about how bettors feel about Kenny Pickett and the Steelers, because he's their starting quarterback and they're still not favored. But yeah, give me the Steelers. I'm gonna trust their defense over the rookie for the Browns. Moving on, we got Vikings
Such a
Broncos
weird
mixed in.
move.
I know it's a weird move. It's gonna be a weird game. I feel bad for anyone that has to watch that game. Last game for us, Vikings Broncos. The game's gonna be in Denver. The Broncos are favored by 2.5. ESPN is giving the Vikings a 57.5% chance of winning. It's going to be about 49 degrees. Who are you taking and why?
This one's actually tough. I'm gonna go with the Vikings for another, I guess, upset. Even though they're favored by popularity, but the line they're not favored by. Mainly because I like the Vikings defense right now. I like Josh Dobbs and that Vikings offense, and I do feel we'll touch on this in like the segments. Yes, the Broncos have won 3 straight games, but also a lot of weird stuff happening in those games for them to win games. I think the way I don't know if this is really backed up by data and numbers, but I just feel like the Vikings are just winning games better, which is a very meatball comment to say, which I understand. But when I watch both teams play, I think the Vikings are just a better overall squad right now.
I'm going to go with the Broncos, actually. I believe the turnaround's real, so we'll talk about a little more in the segment. Russell Wilson looks like Russell Wilson again, for the most part. Not everything's perfect. They seem to have kind of figured it out on offense on what they want to do. They want to insulate it. They want to make sure Russell's not doing too much, not playing hero ball. He's just distributing and making plays when he has to. The defense seems to have turned a corner. I don't know what it was about getting rid of Randy Gregory and a couple of the other pieces they did get rid of, but it seems to have solved their defensive issues. And you know what? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And like we did mention, the Broncos have begun some lucky bounces. I think that continues this week. Again, I do like Josh Dobbs. I think he's a great story. But I'm going to go with the Broncos at home. These seem like 2 middle-of-the-pack teams. So, okay, let's take it back here. I got the Broncos. You got the Vikings. We both picked the Steelers. And we split Eagles-Chiefs. Ooh, look at that. One of us is going to go... Well, one of us is always going to win one of these. Or 2 of these. So...
That's true. Or we could have ties.
I guess it's true. What if somehow we... I was going to say...
3 ties.
What if we both go 1 and 2? Jesus Christ. That would suck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for you guys for sticking around with us through our news of the week and our games of the week. Those are our picks. Do you agree with our picks? Who would you take in these games? Let us know in the comment section. And give us a like and subscribe while you're down there. We do this every week. We like to think we have a good fun. We give content. We give good opinions. I feel like we've so far been proving around a lot of our takes. We like to keep our shit rational here. We don't try to go off the handle with things. But with that, for those who have been waiting for it, we're going to get right into the segments. For those that don't know, we do about 2 segments every week. We release them on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you watch the podcast when it debuts, you get to get those segments first. But let's get right into it, B.
Let's get after it.
This is no other way to put it. Is the Broncos turnaround legit? Have they gone from a bottom feeder team to a respectable team?
So I'm gonna have a weird take here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that I believe they've been kind of average throughout the entire season. Like, I don't think this past 3-game stretch kind of proves anything yet about this team. And before you guys roast me here, just hear me out, okay? The first thing you think about when you hear, the name Broncos, you think of that 50-point loss to like the Dolphins, okay, which is bad, okay? But if we take that out of your picture, they lost a 1-point game in week 1 against the Raiders. They lost by 2 points in week 2 against the Commies. So that game, both those games could have gone either way. They could have gone 2-0 or 1-1. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's their point differential? Do you know that based on if you took the 70-point game out?
Oh, for the entire season,
Yeah, but if you took that
or just for those?
78-point game out for the other remaining
Uh,
7
I
games.
I want to be able to. I mean, just eyeballing it, I won't be able to add it all up right now because I'm not that smart.
Okay.
But they lost by 1 point to the Raiders, 2 points in week 2. They won by 3 points against the Bears, and then lost by 10 against the Jets. Lost by 11 to the Chiefs. They beat the Packers by 2. So you would say maybe
-19.
averages 7.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
point differential is
So
-19.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I mean, they. So the point I'm trying to make is, or at least finish my point here too, is like, yeah, they beat the Bills. A lot of weird stuff was going on in that game. Granted, they won still. A lot of weird stuff was going on. They beat the Packers. Packers failed to win the game on a game winning drive. So I guess hats off to them. But again, another game that could have gone either way. The Bears completely blew it against them. It was like 28-7 with like 2 minutes left in like the third quarter. Ended up coming back to win. Again, hats off to them for making that crazy comeback. But another game that could have been a loss for them. The same thing for first 2 weeks. They could have had wins. So I know it's kind of coulda, woulda, shoulda, and the record is the record, and the games they're winning is, they're winning their games past three games. So I don't want to discredit them there, but the point I'm trying to make is like they've been on this like teeter totter all season, like bunch of weird games that are decided by a play or two. That's just like weird stuff is just going on, and it's hard for me to personally read them. Because there's a bunch of weird stuff has been happening. I mean, think about that 50-point loss to the Dolphins. When was the last time that happened? And they came back the following week and beat the Bears. Like it's a weird stuff going on. And I know it's not really hard stats or numbers, but I feel as though they kind of been the same team all season. It's just the past 3 games. I don't want to say they've been getting lucky, but the ball has been kind of bouncing their way more, if that makes sense. Besides the Chiefs game, they completely just won that Chiefs game. They won 24-9. Mahomes was sick, whatever. But yeah, they clearly just came out there and were a better team that day. But my final point is a lot of weird stuff has been going on during this Broncos season. It's hard for me to read if this turnaround is really like them getting better, or is it just luck bouncing their way?
yeah. We'll turn over to our viewers real quick. If you guys want to hit the comment section and tell us what you think. Have the Broncos been regular all season? Have they been average all season? Or have they really sucked and they actually are having a turnaround here? While you're down there, give us a like, subscribe. Like I said, we do this all the time. We do this every week. We like to have fun. But yeah, let us know what you think. I'm going to say that I don't think they ever were. I'm going to kind of agree with you and kind of refine the point a little bit here. I don't think they ever were a shitty team. I think what has happened with the Broncos is they have been a bad team for so fucking long that we kind of just associate that with them. And especially after the Nathaniel Hackett experiment we had last year where they just looked shitty all fucking year. I know I'm cussing a lot here now. When they just looked really bad all year, I think that tainted our vision coming into this season. The expectations for them really weren't there. There's a couple people that were like, oh, maybe they'll win 10 games, but I feel like for a lot of people were like, well, Russell Wilson's still washed. This, they're still bad. They're still this, blah, blah, blah. They've traded away Bradley Chubb. So we came into the season with a bad taste of the Broncos. And then once they lost, they got blown out by 70. It was like, cool. That's just validation for us. That just proves our point. We've now validated they're not a good team. And then you had Russell Wilson, who wasn't putting up spectacular numbers. There was a couple boneheaded picks to begin the season. And it was just the same thing. It was, oh, see, there we go. Verification, he's washed. Proof. Sean Payton was the guy. Look at Sean Payton. Shouldn't have been talking that shit. I think it's just been a matter of it's just been clouded. And now that we're getting away from it, and now some bounces are going their way, they're kind of returning to the medium on their weirdness. We're now going, oh, see, it's a turnaround. It's not a turnaround. They've been the same team all year. They've been an average team all year. It's just now the bounces are kind of going their way. The only big difference we could really, I apologize for that. The only big difference we can really say about it is that Chiefs game, which was it more on the Broncos or was it more on the fact that Patrick Mahomes had the flu and just wasn't playing well. And well, it is what it is. You do what you got to do. And then they beat to be frank, they beat a bad Packers team. The Packers are not good this year. Jordan Love is not the answer. It's a bottom feeder team, to be honest. And that's just being brutally honest about the situation. And then you take it to the game against the Bills, where there's like 3 times in that game the Broncos should have lost that game on that final drive.
Yeah.
So again, is it a matter of the Broncos are really good or the Bills were really mismanaged? And we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, again, I think it's the long and short of it is they've been average all year. We're no longer primed to think they're bad. We're now seeing them for what they actually are, which is they're an okay team. They're all right. Yeah. They're fine. They're not great. They're not bad. They might compete for a playoff spot, but they're not going to get to the playoffs and make noise there. They're going to be an okay team the rest of the way. They'll probably end up going, my guess is somewhere around 500.
I think so too.
Yeah. But I don't know. You guys tell us what you think. Are the Broncos an average team? Are they not? If this is where we're losing you on the segments, you have the Broncos. You're like, wow, I just want to see what these guys' thoughts are on the Broncos. Thank you for tuning in with us. Tell us what you think. We really love to hear it. We usually respond in the comment sections. Again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We will see you guys on our next segment or the next time we see you. For the rest of you who are staying with us for our Sean McDermott segment, thank you for being patient and waiting through that really long Broncos segment. I'm just kidding. But your time is now. We're going to talk about the Bills. We're going to talk about Sean McDermott, Mr. 13 Seconds himself. We kind of talked about in the pre-show, and we really don't want. I know we don't want to get dragged down in this conversation off of one game, but is it time for the Bills to move on from Sean McDermott? Have we seen enough of Sean McDermott? And I know when we asked this question on Twitter, a lot of Bills fans informed us it was time when he couldn't get the job done in 13 seconds. But I'll let you talk about that game first because I know you had a good opinion on it. So let me hear what your thoughts were about that. Let's start with that.
So I know the head coach will always take fault and blame for when things like that happen, when you lose a game by 13 seconds deep in like the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel as though calling out of his name for that game is kind of unfair in my own opinion. Okay. One, I don't believe he was calling the defense. It was Leslie Frazier, I think his name is, which I don't know where he's at now. So I gotta be better, do more research. I don't know where he's at right now. So that's like one point there, and two, like then you can say, okay, well they kind of gave up the middle. It was a bad defense. How come McDermott didn't like override the play call? That stuff. How come they weren't synced up better before that series started? And I get all that. I don't remember what the scenario was for the amount of timeouts the Chiefs had, for example. But I bet the Bills were thinking in that moment, hey, like there's 13 seconds left. They might try to stop the clock, protect the sidelines, and just give them like the middle. Don't really play like, I don't know, just let them catch it, and then we'll see what happens. So I get it. It sucks to lose a game that way. And I get the head coach gets like the blame. But I also think in the larger picture, he's been doing a pretty damn good job as the head coach for the Bills. You have any thoughts to what I said about the Chiefs-Bills game and the 13-second miracle or failure, depending on what side of the team you're on, before I kind of go into my topic about this him as a whole as a head coach for the Bills?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I said, it to me, sure, it's one game, it's one instance. You don't want to put it all on him. You would have liked. I assume they should have talked about that. Hey, Leslie, we just scored. We're gonna kick it off to him. What's your plan? Would they have 2 timeouts? They only need a field goal to tie. I don't think we should go with the prevent defense. I think again, there's some checks and balances that should be there, not in the middle of the play call, obviously. But to me, it just kind of shows the lack of situational awareness by the head coach. Before we get too further into that, I want you guys to head down to the comment section and let us know what you think Who's to blame for that 13-second? Was it more on the Chiefs and Mahomes doing miracles, or was it more on the Bills defense for not playing in a regular zone and going with prevent instead? Let us know what you think. Give us a like and subscribe while you're down there. But back to our conversation, B. To me, that's it's just one of a pattern that I'm starting to see of a situational problem. But tell me, I want to hear the rest of your thoughts. Do you think are you seeing a pattern with it? Do you think it's time to find someone else, or do you think, it's one-offs?
I think it's just honestly, it's one-off stuff. If I were the Bills, I would not fire McDermott for another. I would wait till after next season to fire him if I were the Bills owner or the Bills GM or whatever. And I say that because I'm sorry, yeah.
So I was going to ask, before you get too deep into that, what would you need to see from him next season to save his job?
I would need to see more of, I guess to your point, there's a deeper playoff run. Like, I want to see them win a game. I don't know if my benchmark would be make it to the Super Bowl per se.
But maybe AFC Championship game?
Yeah, I would say you have to at least make it to the conference champ. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because they have the talents there. They have a top 5 quarterback. Some people say top 3. He's not playing too well right now, but we all know the talent that they have. Like, at some point, you need to put it together and go make this deep playoff run. So that's kind of would be my benchmark, and that's a really good question. But let's go into kind of the weeds here about why I think he's overall been really, really good for this Bills org. He was hired in 2017. Okay, so let me just rattle off the Bills records from like 2010 to 2016. 2010, they're 4-12. They had 3 straight seasons of 6-10. Then they went 9-7 in 2014, 500 in 2015 at 8-8, and then 2016 7-9. Okay, so they were kind of bad to average. Okay, after McDermott is hired in 2017, they went 9-7, nothing special. It's good though, I guess. 2018 had a bad year. They're 6-10, and then 2019 they won 10 games. 2020 13, 2021 11, 2022 13. He is pulling it up here, 67-40 as head coach. He's winning 2/3 of his games, right? And maybe my perspective of the wins and losses and his winning per percentage and whatnot is kind of skewed because my team is just trash. I'm a Bears fan. You guys don't know. So I would give my left foot for like 3 or 4 straight season of 10+ wins. Like, that to me seems great.
I do want to ask you this question. I do want to give you a little bit of pushback on this with his record. Is it interesting to you at all? He started really taking it went 10-6 in 2019. I do get that. The last year of Tom Brady in New England. 2020, first year Tom Brady's gone from New England. He went to Tampa, I believe, that year, right?
In 2020, he did, yeah.
That's when the Bills finally took off. The Jets have been a mess. The Dolphins have been a mess until Mike McDaniels got there. And oh my gosh, and who else is in there? The Jets, the
Jets,
Bills,
Dolphins,
the Patriots.
And Bills. Yeah, that's all 4.
Oh yeah, so you have the Jets who've been a mess historically. You have the Dolphins who were a mess, and then the Patriots and lose Tom Brady. Is it kind of coincidental to you that the turnaround really seemed to happen with Tom Brady leaving the division, or do you think they finally just clicked and that was it's because he's such a great coach?
I think it's I get the point that you're saying, but you can't really control other teams' like situations, right? You play who's in front of you. You know what I mean? If the teams in this division are weaker, sure, but like Josh, I guess you can kind of point it to the talent he had on the team too. Josh Allen there, Diggs took off. The defense is solid, right? The GM did a great job. Like, the D-line, it's a bunch of first-round picks, and like they're stellar. They brought in Von Miller last season. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, the overall environment with the AFC East could be a factor. and he had the talent, but like if we're going to fault him for that 13-second loss and whatnot, we also got to credit him for like winning too. I think it goes hand in hand. You can't be like, oh, you're crap for losing those games, those moments, but all those wins you have don't really mean much because the division is weaker and you have good talent. And so in my opinion, I'm still gonna give him credit for that.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sit here and I'm not trying to completely discredit him because the division fell apart, but I do just want to maybe bring to light, remind people that that is, you're looking at potentially 6 free wins a year. I mean, that's almost half of your 13. I'm not saying they won all the games. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But that does play a role when you're no longer playing Tom Brady and now you're playing Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, whoever they had before Tua. I can't remember that far back at this point.
I don't know either, yeah.
So, I mean, you're facing lesser talent. I just mean in terms of like that's six wins, not guaranteed, but you're more likely to win 4 or 5 of those. To me, I would only move on if it was the right situation. Like I wouldn't just move on if it were me. But I do notice a habit, a habitual problem with game management. We saw it in the AFC divisional round with the Chiefs. We saw it with the Vikings game last year, as well as the Dolphins game last year in the playoffs when you're playing, Skylar Thompson, the Skylar Thompson Dolphins, not even the Tua, the Skylar Thompson Dolphins, and you couldn't put them away. We've just seen, and now you're looking at the Broncos game this past week. Again, situational coaching that has cost them big games. That Broncos game could be the difference between them making the playoffs or not, winning the division or not. Something as just as simple as having 11 dudes on the field instead of 12 and giving the team a second chance at a kick. You can't have it. Or sending an all-out blitz twice. The first time, sure, caught them off guard, got the sack, fantastic call. Going for it again when they're out of field goal range with no more timeouts on 4th and 20 or whatever it was, it's like, what are you doing? Just drop and play coverage. Drop 8. Why would you send a full house blitz and put your guys press man coverage to the line, especially when we got Jerry Jeudy. All Russell Wilson had to do, what you didn't do was just hug it up. Sure shit, PI, first down. It's just it's situational management like that makes me think it may be time to go in a different direction. He's a good coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying when it comes to situational, that's what really can make and break, playoff games. And we're trying to make a deep run. In terms of moving on, I would only move on if it was the right situation. So like if I'm the owner of the Bills, the only situation I'm moving on in this offseason is I'm calling Jim Harbaugh once the year ends and going, hey, Jim, can we convince you to come coach in Buffalo? And if Jim says no, I'm rolling with Sean McDermott again. If Jim says yes, bye, Sean. Like that's because that's a guy with a reputation of winning. That's a guy that makes great in-game management. He knows how to build a program. He's an offensive-minded guy who brings a ground and pound style, which is protective of the quarterback, which would be great for Josh Allen. It's much safer throws, much more play action. They want to win by running, which, again, all protects Josh Allen from the dumb decision, the hero ball stuff. It just takes, pressure off of his shoulders. He's also a former quarterback. He can relate to Josh really well, like he did with Alex Smith, like he does with J.J. McCarthy. I just think, again, so if I'm the Bills, for me, going to the offseason, it's Harbaugh or I'm rolling with Sean McDermott. I'm not taking a chance on a Ben Johnson or a first-time coordinator to give the keys to my franchise to. But what do you think? Would you take that situation, or are you okay with other situations as well?
I personally think that, to your point, it would have to be an upgrade over McDermott right now for it to make sense. And they kind of further flesh out my point of like wait until after next year to see what happens. They can make a deep playoff run. Is because they have so much talent on this team right now, and I don't have their entire roster's numbers in front of me, like in terms of their contracts, right? But you would have to think their window is closing. It has to be pretty close to closing. They can't keep everyone on this team, right? Unless you bat 1,000 in like the draft and keep reloading talent. But the window has to be closing. And at that point, if you don't make a deep playoff run and you kind of have to, I guess, not really rebuild but reload, it would make sense to make a move at head coach too, if it came to that. But I'm with you that it would have to be an upgrade to move on from him, because you don't want, again. I'm a Bears fan, so I use a lot of scenarios back to the Bears. The Bears moved on from Lovie Smith for pretty much the same reason. It was the same stagnant 9, 10 wins, couldn't get over that hump. They decided to move on from Lovie, and the Bears haven't sniffed like a good season since then, except 2018, I guess, was their last good season when they won, what was it, like 10 or 11, 12 games, something like that, and it got bounced in the wild card round. So that's what I fear for the Bills org. Like, yeah, players can hit their ceilings, coaches can too. Maybe it's true that McDermott hit his ceiling as a coach, but you run the risk of just completely going back downhill if you downgrade at head coach because you're tired of just a flatlining team. And that's what I fear the most. And that's why I'm with you that I wouldn't necessarily take a stab at a first-time head coach, right? Because you just don't know. And I'm more risk adverse. I would rather work with McDermott and see what else can we do to this team to get over that final hump of winning a title. It's hard for me to want to. Yeah, because to your point, the talent's there. So what else can they do? And maybe the answer is take a chance on like a Ben Johnson or someone else. Maybe that is what's needed, right? But on the flip side, that move could end up terrible. They can go back to a 4-6 win team fast.
Yeah, I get. Well, I doubt 4-6 with the talent they have. As long as you can keep the talent, you're probably okay. But yeah, I mean, but like I said, the fact that you have that much, we have a consensus top 5 roster in the NFL. You have a top 5 quarterback. You have a good defense. I mean, you have all these pieces, and yet you can't. They haven't made an AFC Championship game with him. I mean, we're not even talking about Super Bowls, right? You know, it was just, well, he's not getting to the Super Bowl. He's not winning the Super Bowl. Like, okay, that's one thing. You're not even getting to the AFC Championship game. Like, it's literally you, Cincinnati, and the Chiefs, and you haven't gotten there past either team. I mean, and there's not really a whole lot more you can add to that roster at this point. The going into the, we even made a video going into the season was like, hey, what can we do to upgrade this roster? And it was find a run game. We need a run game. That's what they need. They need to protect Josh Allen with a run game. And James Cook is going off. I mean, he's having a great year. At this point, I don't know what else you can improve.
You said something that actually rang the bell for me too, is they're going against like the best of the best in the playoffs though. Talk about the later round. Like, if you think about, they lost to the Chiefs with a 1-of-1 quarterback. The Chiefs are in a dynasty window right now. They lost to the Bengals, who are not slouches either. You know what I mean? They lost the Rams in 2021 in the title game, and they were a game away from last year from making the Super Bowl too, right? With Joe Burrow, another top 3 quarterback, probably top 2, being 2. And, I don't know, man. Now I'm kind of backtracking on my expectations for making it to the championship, because like that's hard. Like, when we play the top 2. No, think about it. When you play a top 2 quarterback year after year deep in the playoffs, and both really good teams, you're not just playing a top 2 quarterback, you're playing top 2 franchises right now, deep in the playoffs, man. That's got to be hard, dude. Kind of reminds me of the Colts back in the early 2000s with Tony Dungy and Peyton Manning just can't get past Tom Brady and like the Patriots, because it's so damn hard. Like, those are 2 good ass teams. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. I can see what you're saying with that point. I'm getting, at least back then, is you were making it to the AFC Championship game for that Colts Patriots game, right? You weren't losing in the divisional round or losing in the wild card round, to the Titans or to something else. And that's kind of what I'm saying. At a certain point, you need to either shit or get off the pot. Like, and I get what you're saying. Like, it's two tough teams and everything like that. But look at the Bengals. I mean, and the Bengals just started really popping off in 2021. The Bills had 2020 and 2021 to really try to get past the Chiefs or get past the Bengals. Before the Bengals were the Bengals, I guess just get past the Chiefs, and they still couldn't make it to an
Chiefs
AFC championship.
Won the title in 2019, right? When the Chiefs first win their title with Mahomes, 2019, right? And then they made it again in 2020. They made it again in 2020. And what was the year that they lost with the 13 seconds? Against Chiefs.
2020.
See, so that's they're always going against like the top teams. So that's kind of like, to your point, yeah, like the Colts and Patriots, they're the top two in the AFC back in the early 2000s. But the thing with the Bills, they're always the third best team in the AFC right now because they have the Bengals and Chiefs. So yeah. I don't know.
But I'm saying
you have to win. Like I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're looking at whole rosters, I would take the Bills roster. Take quarterback out of it. Just take quarterback out of it. Would you rather have the Chiefs roster or the Bills?
Bills for sure.
Okay. Looking at the Bengals roster.
Andy Reid
but you're right, the coach. Then you look at the Bengals. Take Joe Burrow out of it. Would you rather have the Bengals roster and head coach or the Bills? Let's just take the roster. If you would have the Bengals roster or the Bills?
Oh, Bengals.
You have the Bengals roster?
Yeah,
I mean they're weapons, but
the offense is loaded compared to Bills. I'm not a big fan of the receivers outside of Diggs, to be honest.
You don't like Gabe Davis and Kincaid?
You like them over Chase, Higgins, Boyd?
Okay, Mixon? I don't like them over, but I like the Bills O-line over the Bengals O-line. I would take the Bills defense over the Bengals defense.
I still would take Bengals.
I would take the Bills defense over the Bengals defense.
Yeah, but if we're talking complete roster, I'm taking Bengals.
Okay, so we'll go with that then. So
we'll disagree.
Well, no, that's fine. But you're still saying, based on rosters of those three teams, you still feel the Bills are the second best roster, yet they can't get to.
Are we also talking about Chiefs right now, or Chiefs when they won the title? Because I'm taking the Chiefs roster when they beat the Bills too.
They have a terrible defense back then. They couldn't stop water. They couldn't stop.
They won because guess what? Their offense.
That's what I'm saying. Take quarterback out of it. Just that's why.
Okay, Hill, Kelsey, and that O line.
Okay, come on, man. Who are you stopping on defense?
I'm gonna win, which they did. They proved it.
my point that I'm getting at is you have
I get
all three rosters. You have the best roster again outside of quarterback. So the only thing you can change that at that point is the head coach. It's got to come down to the little call. It's got to come down to knowing that you have 13 seconds, 2 timeouts, and you have the middle of the field and attacking it. Right? It's got to come down to those kind of decisions that make a difference in a game.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think Josh Allen leading the NFL in picks since 2018 is impacting this team?
I don't want to say not at all, because that'd obviously be ridiculous. I don't know how every pick has happened, if it's bounced off receivers' hands or what the situation is there. But yes, it is having a negative impact on the roster or on the performance. Sure.
So the point I'm trying to make too is so we can take quarterback out of it and look at the roster, but at the same time, we all know quarterback carries the most weight too. And this dude's out here throwing picks. Yeah, but we did a segment on him a few weeks. Oh, I guess not in a few weeks, but first week of the season against the Jets. Same thing he did against the Broncos. He's throwing the ball I don't know where the hell he's even throwing the ball to. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just saying that I don't think the Ken Dorsey firing was a good move, but at the same time,
total scapegoat.
It is. Sorry, my dog's going crazy right now. But at the same time, he is Josh Allen has not been playing great football either at times. So that's something we got to think about too.
And absolutely, okay, I'll give you that right now. He's not playing the best football. But my point still remains. You're talking about you have a couple of different decisions throughout this season that could make the Bills, what was it, 7-3? Or what is their record? They're 5-5 right now? Yeah,
They're
7
5
and 7
yeah.
3. 7-3 versus 5-5. That are strictly on, in-game coaching decisions. Players are going to have bad games. Even the best quarterbacks are going to have bad games. It's what can you do around it? And that I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying they should replace Sean McDermott with just anybody. To me, like I said already, if it's me personally, I'm calling hardball and I'm saying, what is it going to take to get you to Buffalo? And if he won't go, I'm sticking with McDermott. But the in-game decisions from McDermott have to get better. Like that seems to be one of the two biggest liabilities of this team right now. It's that and Josh Allen's poor decision-making at times. Doing too much, being a hero ball kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. He has to get better in those, like you said, late game moments where you, as a head coach, you got to manage the game well. And my point is too is like you can't, as a head coach, you can't influence everything though. Like sometimes your players got to go out there and do their like jobs too. Like Allen's out here turn over the ball, the offense is turn over the ball and not clicking. It's tough. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's tough.
You gotta coach them hard. Gotta get on it. Hey man, we can't fucking have you sitting here being fucking done with the ball. We need you to play smart. If it's not there, if it's not open, don't fucking force it. Take off, do what you got, whatever it is. But again, it's hard coaching. You gotta get on him about this isn't your team.
I don't know about that, dog. I don't know because he's been throwing it since 2018. He's been throwing. So if you're McDermott, okay, and let's say you're coaching the kid up for 5 years and he's still doing the same thing. What are you gonna do? Bench him?
Let's hold on. Okay, and to sit here and say go back to 2018 with Josh Allen. Because we kind of brought it up here. But to go back to 2018, I mean, you're talking about a dude that was a rookie, so underseasoned. He was like completing 56% of his passes back then. Now, if you want to talk about, okay, where is he at in interceptions in the last 3 years where they're actually competitive? Sure, but you're riding and dying with Josh Allen. The only reason you've been a good team, you're 13-3, or you've made it wherever you've made it, is strictly because of Josh Allen.
That's not true, though. You just said the Bills had a better roster without the quarterback. So it can't be the only reason.
If you take Josh Allen off that team and put Sam Darnold on there, are they a playoff team?
But you just... Never mind, bro. Nothing, bro.
So what I'm saying with the roster thing is, what I'm saying is of those three teams, the Bills have the best roster, excluding the quarterback, because you have Patrick Mahomes. There's no comparison to that. What I'm saying is the biggest, you need to be getting more out of that roster. You need to be at least getting to AFC Championship games. And the things that seem to constantly keep costing them is just mismanagement at the end of games. It's just the little things that aren't being done right.
I don't agree on your other points, but I agree in that.
We're running out of time. We'll have to talk about this off camera. We're going to drop it there. You guys tell us what you think. Is it the right decision for the Bills to move on from Sean McDermott? Let us know in the comments section. Give us a like, subscribe. But thank you for tuning in with us. You guys can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Twitter. It's been fun. It's been the RFL show. It's been Emmett. It's been B. Thank you for joining us, guys, and we will see you next time.